7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
There you go. That was the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. That is why we are celebrating Remembrance Day, which is today, and want to say hello and welcome everybody. That clip was really fucking crazy. I was watching it today. Welcome to the DeanBlundell.com podcast, or Dean Blundell Show, as we call it. That is Lochlin Cross. James DeFiore is off making a sandwich, but we're here, which is important. I know. I don't get it either. He just fucking picks up and goes. It's
you just told him.
I know. We're
going live. Don't go make a sandwich.
And he split. Yeah, he went to go make a fucking sandwich. But that audio was out of this world. Like,
it's very powerful. I've never seen that before.
Have you not heard that? Yeah, I saw that last year. So that audio, I'll play it again real quick. This audio is unbelievable to me. And what it is the very last gun volley between the Allies and the assholes in France, and that was one of those things where they said, hey, so this is going to end on November the 11th at 11 a.m. Shoot the fuck out of each other until then. That was the First World War.
Really?
And yeah, dude. It was like, and so both sides in France, they were like, okay, fire away, and they're looking at their clock, they're looking at the watch. And now that you know that, when you watch this, it's fucking incredible, right? Because they actually recorded the audio, and what you can hear in the audio. And by the way, I don't want to say Happy Remembrance Day, but a respectful Remembrance Day, where the whole thing's going to be about Remembrance Day today. Locke is in Edmonton at the Legion. James and I are just supporting him today, and we're going to talk to a bunch of veterans. But this audio is kind of funny because, like, you just think, oh, so the war had a beginning and an end, legitimately. Like, the First World War had an end to it. And it was like both sides decided it was over. And when it was over, the carnage that you hear is only balanced out by the fucking birds that you can hear in the background. Listen to it again. It's fucking marvelous. Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy, eh?
Yeah, and you go through a day like today and you think about that, or you listen to it and you're like, I don't even comprehend it. So I'm really glad that you're there. You're at the Legion in Edmonton, is that correct?
I'm at the Legion in St. Albert, actually. So I live just in the northwest of Edmonton, in a smaller part of Edmonton area called St. Albert. We moved here because when I came from Winnipeg, we got the girls started in French immersion, and we kind of did a bit of research and found out that the strongest path for the French immersion was in St. Albert. So we settled here back in 2006, and we've been here ever since. And we went to a ceremony this morning. Found out about this this family who's they're losing their father. He's really sick, and he has cancer, and they organized. He wasn't going to be able to make it to the ceremony this year. He's a 35-year vet, and his name is Mike Downey, and Downey, and he ended up. They ended up putting together this ceremony right in front of his house, but 250, 300 people showed up this morning. Mm-hmm. And so then we came down to have a couple of pints, raised a few here in the St. Albert Legion. Mm-hmm. And I got Army Kris with me. He's going to chat a little bit about his involvement, obviously, in the military. 25 years? 24 years in the military, sitting next to me. Mm-hmm. I'm helping him finish his pitcher of kokanee.
Oh, you're such a good friend, Lochlin.
What a guy!
I know. I'm here for the guy. Jimmy's got a Remembrance Day poem that he wrote that he's going to share for us, and I'm hoping that we get a chance to chat with Doug DeLorme. He is the president of the St. Albert Legion, and also the daughters of Mike. I think are going to make their way down here at some point too. So I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to interview them as well. So
Mike's daughters Mike's daughters were the ones that put on this Remembrance Day ceremony in front of his house. He's got terminal cancer, can't make it. 35-year veteran, served his country proudly for many years, and this is the thing that takes him. I've got the video from it that you put up this morning. I want to play it because it's powerful shit. And I love it. I love how solemn it is. I love the fact that you got involved and spearheaded this thing. It kind of speaks to your selflessness. I'm not meaning to pump your tires,
I
but
had very little to do with it. I just saw it, or somebody phoned me and told me about it, and then we got them on and interviewed, and then we just promoted a bit. So yeah, I had very little to do with it, but I wanted to make sure that I went down and showed my support today.
Yeah, well, you did, and it was incredible. Here's the video from that Remembrance Day this morning for one of our veterans who is making his way to the great hereafter, unfortunately, and was lucky enough to be treated to a Remembrance Day ceremony in front of his house, which is just fucking incredible. Watch it.
He's never.
So, as soon as I lose my voice, Sergeant Major here is taking over.
You know what's incredible
that was
about that?
just before the ceremony started, and then and they did some speeches, and they had the bagpipes, and it was really powerful. It was.
Did he come out? Did Mike get out for it? Did he make it out of the house for it? So
they had him out. He actually got up and spoke too. They helped him up, and he's really sick right now. He's got prostate cancer. I guess it's moved into other parts of his body, and he's been battling for about a year and a half now. So,
what was that like for you? What was it like for you to kind of like wheel up and see how, like, I noticed how quiet everybody was, right? How solemn everybody was, because obviously the guy's not doing well. But then I saw the dude in the cadet's hat. Then I saw a couple of other veterans. And then I saw kids. Well, how was it for you? Like, how did you translate what you saw today?
Go blow shit up again.
I have very. I wouldn't say fond memories, but I have very powerful memories of this day because my grandparents were both in the war. And to the day my grandmother died, she never missed a Remembrance Day. She passed away when she was 91 a couple of years ago. My grandfather passed away, Gordy Hislop. And Gordy he fought in the tank brigade in World War II and was injured quite badly in the war. It eventually took his life. We think that what he went through he ended up succumbing to it. He was on guard in the tank, and a sniper jumped on the back of the tank and threw a grenade. It hit him in the back, fell in the hole, and blew him out, and killed his three. The three guys that were in the tank, and just before he got blown out of the hole, he turned around and shot the guy on the back of the tank, but he got really messed up. So he had a shoe that was about 2 inches, to like a 2-inch heel on it because his one leg was a lot shorter than the other one after all of the surgeries and everything that he had to go through. And I remember when I was a kid, so he owned a campground, the Hislop Highway Campground in Castlegar, and he ran that up until he passed away. And then my grandmother sold it and moved to Kelowna when he died in the late 70s. But I remember as a kid, I remember he'd yell at Lois, his wife. He'd yell at her to go get the can on the top of the stove. He'd go, I got another piece of metal coming out of me. And he would literally, he had metal coming out of him for years. This is in the 70s. This is years after the war.
Wow.
He had chunks of shit, and he had a cigarette, like a tobacco can, on the top of the stove. And Lois would come over and go, Jesus Christ, Gordy, I can't believe it. And this metal was, his body was pushing it out of him.
Why was she mad at him?
For years. Well, because he would.
Well, he's getting blood on the couch.
Wives have always been the same, haven't they? What are you doing, leaking that shrapnel? What?
He would grab chunks of metal out of his leg, and he'd put it in the can. There's another one. And then
I can hear the ting. I can hear the ting right now.
Yeah, tink. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's interesting because he ended up getting cancer. We think he had pancreatic cancer, and then it moved around his whole body, and it ended up killing him. He wanted to die at home, and like a lot of people that are really, really sick, I think it was that last shot of morphine that finally took him that my mother had to give him because my grandmother couldn't do it. And I remember going to the ceremonies as a kid, and my grandfather was a big member of the Legion. Like, he was a president of the local chapter, and yeah, he was very heavily involved in the Legion. Heavy drinker too. He loved his booze.
No way.
He was a Scotch guy. Apparently, when I was a kid, I downed they called me Little Gordy for a number of reasons because I looked a lot like him when I popped out. But apparently, I also used to drink his Scotch on a fairly regular basis if he left it lying around.
Wow, that explains a
5-year-old
lot.
Locke would dummy it.
And that was back in the day when, like, if a kid actually grabbed your Scotch and drank it, the dad didn't go, "Oh my God, I'm a terrible person." Grandpa was like, "Yeah, that's how you do it, kid.
That's
That's
a
how you
good
do
kid."
that. Yeah.
Slap
You're
him
gonna
with that.
sleep. You're gonna sleep like a fucking baby tonight, son."
Apparently, I
First
used to follow
domino
him
to the
around the
psychiatrist
campground too.
couch.
Did you really?
Apparently, I used to follow him around the campground for we'd get up in the morning, he'd make breakfast, and then I would just wander around the campground as he fixed stuff, and yeah.
I think all of us too, to a man. I think all of us have a family that served in the war, right? James, you sent me this picture of. Is this your grandfather?
That's my Opa. So I'm half
Opa?
Italian, half Dutch. So that's the Dutch side. His name was Theodore Smulders. He actually fought for Holland, and he was on a horse.
Fuck off! They didn't
he
even
was
give him
on
a car.
He was in the cavalry. Like, they still have. So they're fighting the German war machine with their horses, right? And anyways, his horse got shot. He got shot through the leg, and then it killed the horse. And so he had a weird leg where, like, his calf muscle in one side was just scooped out, basically. And he talked about being in occupied Holland and having to, like, sneak out after curfew to try to get food for him and his sister, things like that. Like, yeah, he never talked about this shit when he was alive. He just wouldn't talk about any of it. But he had written some stuff down that other people had taken a look at. And he moved to Canada because of his experience with the Canadian military. That's the legit reason that he moved here.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
So the reason why he decided to come to Canada after fighting the Germans in Holland because he was Dutch was because he had such a great experience with the Canadian military.
That's exactly right. The first thing he saw when he was, because they were prisoners. They were like ghettos, sort of like the Warsaw Ghetto, but not obviously as extreme. And it was like you couldn't leave your neighborhood, and then you had a curfew, and he was liberated by Canadians. So
I think we might get some bagpipes here, guys.
If we do,
great.
We'll listen to it and we'll watch it together. Yeah, but keep going.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and then he moved here. So he was an opera singer, and he was like a stained glass guy. He made stained glasses for churches and things like that. Right. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, it totally shaped everything in his life. He was like one of the most angry soccer coaches ever. like, and he had like a thick Dutch accent, and he would always like come home from soccer and be like, "Confredoma, these stupid Canadian kids don't know how to play soccer or football or whatever it was." So he was kind of a grumpy guy, but yeah, his war stories are crazy. Like just how brave you have to be to ride a horse.
I think we're getting the music now. Let's listen. Yeah. How awesome is that?
That was awesome, eh?
Right? Fucking incredible. Yeah, I got the chills. I got goosebumps watching it.
I love the bagpipes. You know what? I'm going to put Army Kris on right now, and he can maybe he can explain why everyone started yelling at me about the hat when I was coming in too. Oh, they're doing another song here.
Let's watch the song first, and then we'll talk to Army Kris after. Yeah. See? That's awesome. That is awesome. I love that. I love hearing that. I was just reading while we were listening to it that the reason why bagpipes are used is they started being used in Scotland in 1770 something, and they would play them to jack up all the other people going to war. And in the First World War, Canadians actually sent bagpipers in with the troops to play while they were heading into battle, again, to give them a little extra juice. And I had no idea that was true. No
You're going
idea.
again.
Yeah, I can hear that.
You can mute me, Dean, if you want, or I can.
Yeah, sure. Let's just. Are you muted? Oh no.
Camera
Hey,
again,
cut
buddy.
it. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, flip the camera. Let's watch this, and I'll turn it down, and we can kind of talk about it, because one of the things that's kind of incredible about Canadian history, and not a lot of people know, is that these bagpipers were actually sent into war with their bagpipes and nothing else. And it's kind of a fascinating story because they thought that the morale, and it was, I think it's First Princesses Patricia, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was like 7 or other different squadrons that were sent, and the government literally went across the country and it's like, look, we need bagpipers. We got to have people that know how to play the bagpipes. You're going to go into war, but you're not going to fight. You're just going to literally jam those bagpipes until either they're dead or you go running. And people signed up for it, James. Like, people legitimately were like, yeah, I'm a piper. I'm the kind of guy that wants to go to war to play the pipe. It's like the flag guy in the Civil War or the drum guy in the Civil War. Like, they didn't stand a fucking chance.
Well,
right?
hold on. Was
But
the
they still
bagpipes
did it.
ever made out of Kevlar? Because that would have
No.
been okay.
No, none of them. They were made out of like ivory and leather. Who knows? I mean, but it was just like it just the rich history, right? And when you think about what today's all about, and then you hear those bagpipes and why we get so. I don't know about you, but I like when I hear bagpipes in a parade, or I hear bagpipes. I remember one time I went to a funeral, and there was a bagpiper at the funeral because the person who passed away had Scottish descent, and it was fucking the most moving sound I can remember, and it still is. Like when I listen to bagpipes, and it's tied to our history. It's a pretty incredible feeling, and I don't know. Do you get that feeling, Kris, being a veteran, 24 years Army Kris from Fire Effect? Like when you hear the bagpipes, do you go, "Fuck, that's it, Kris?
Every time.
Are you there? Yeah.
Absolutely. They're going again. Yep. You muted me.
They're really testing the love you have for the bagpipes.
But I don't even mind it, right? Like that's the thing, is that it's such a fucking nice sound to me. It's one of those things like when I had to feel like I'm at a Kinsman parade or it's Remembrance Day every time I hear these bagpipes.
I like the rich tradition and the story behind it. Not real big fan of the sound, but that's just me. But I do like it when you're there in person and it's like 2 or 3 really good players and the drum. I like that. But otherwise, I can't say I'd like seek out bagpipe music or.
Well, it's not like I'm seeing. That's the thing, right? Like no one goes home and goes, you know what? It's either jazz, big band, or bagpipe music.
Can I get the bagpipe remix of that 50 Cent song? Because that'd be awesome.
But like I'm saying, it's one of those things when you hear it. I don't know if it fills me with pride. I don't know if it's one of those things now where you're like, oh my god, but bagpipes, they exist. Like it's crazy.
In your DNA too, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because I'm British, very, very British.
Like being a greasy, sarcastic guy is in my DNA, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess so.
Same thing. But
I don't know, man. I just love
it. I understand why it must be like, hard, I don't know, emotional for
My buddy Cliff.
veterans to be there and to listen to something like that, because it's it harkens back to like the tradition that got them to where they were at the moment that they're hearing them. So it's like they're part of it. It's cathartic, I guess, right?
Kris, you got me?
I got you.
Okay.
So like a 2-second delay.
You got me?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, no, I got you up nice and loud now. Tell me about go on a little bit of a thing here because we got a bit of a delay and we'll fix it. But tell me what those like when you hear those bagpipes, what do you think? How do you feel?
It really gives you that rush, that feeling Your hair stands up. You get a rush of energy. It's motivating, and it brings back a lot of memories. My first Remembrance Day as a kid when my grandfather took me down to the Legion in a small town in Saskatchewan. Even up until listening to bagpipes in Afghanistan. We had a piper who was going in 6 areas out in the middle of the fucking desert and play the pipes that jacks the troops up. It's motivating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if it's just a bagpipe thing. Like, I wonder if those bagpipes are like, if there's only one instrument that can make guys rush towards a group of other guys to kick their asses.
It's just
Gotta be
bagpipes and
fucking bagpipes.
AC/DC. That's about it, right?
Exactly.
I just turn it around. Turn the camera around again, Kris. Let's have a look. Let's watch it.
All right, let's go again.
Yeah, I don't see why we're going to sit here and talk over something. Why battle it? Let's enjoy it. Let's bring people right inside the Legion. And when it's done, we'll be done. I wonder if they're moving.
They're taking a break.
I think they're done. They're done.
Well, they're done for now. They're going to go drink some beer,
Yeah. Sorry.
and then
Bring
they'll
hats.
do another set.
Okay, there we go. So let's fucking go back. Tell me about the bagpipes, Kris. Let's start this again.
Well, I don't know the history of bagpipes, but
No, what they mean to you?
they mean a lot. It's tradition. Every Canadian Highland regiment has pipers in them. Obviously, you know, our heritage is Canadian heritage is French and British, and several Highland units, you know, came over and formed Canadian Highland units. And bagpipes, pipes and drums have been part of military history since day one. And the sound they make is very, very motivating. Like I tried to say earlier, it was a little bit loud. Like, we take them everywhere we go. Every conflict we've been in them. I've been in Afghanistan. We had bagpipers go up on a mountain at 5 a.m. and play the pipes for a reveille to wake the troops up. I've seen it on exercise. I've seen it in Bosnia. We take the bagpipes to war. How about that?
Yeah, that's
To this
fucking.
day.
I think that's why it jacks me up so much. It's like, and I was saying to James earlier, it's like, you know, in the Civil War, you'd see the dudes with the drums and you'd see the dudes with like the flags. Modern day version of that is, think about the bagpipers back in 1914 that were literally sent into war to play as these guys were fighting. Like they didn't, it's like the Titanic, right? Like they're like, hey, keep playing until everything settles down and the plays. But these bagpipers are still going, right? Like, and that's kind of the rich history that I was talking about earlier, is that, you know, if you
Absolutely.
put like, we sit and listen to these bagpipers, and 75, 80 years after the last bullet flew, everybody's going, oh, why do we have fucking bagpipers? We have bagpipers because in Canada, when we first went to war, they're like, these guys need some music. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. it's tradition, and it's a good tradition. So it's good they came out. Those guys will go have a few beers, and they'll come back and do another set in probably an hour.
Well, good. Well, while we got you here, I want to ask you about your service. You're 24 years in the Canadian Armed Forces. It's kind of a weird, kind of placating question, but like, do you get jacked up for Remembrance Day, or is this a day of real solemn stuff because of the people you fought with and buried? But like, what is Remembrance Day to a guy that spent 24 years protecting this country and putting his life in danger?
Well, I mean, I did a show last night, and I kind of covered this stuff. Remembrance Day, so everybody knows, is to recognize the 2,300,000 men and women that have served this country through all of the conflicts since World War I, and the 118,000 men and women who lost their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice. So it's first and foremost, it's about that. It's tough because guys like me that wore the uniform and guys that wear the uniform today, we remember every day. So for some guys, they stay at home and they don't want to be reminded. But for the rest of us, it's an opportunity to get together and take those 2 minutes of silence and remember, and then spill some beers, tell some more stories. And the more beer you drink, the taller the story gets. And, I think it's like that. And considering it's good to see civilians come out and recognize what's going on. All I ever asked any civilian was to take 2 minutes of silence on the 11th of November at the 11th hour, considering that your average soldier in World War I and II spent 2.6 million minutes there. Your average soldier in Korea spent 1.6 million minutes there. And your average Canadian that deploys overseas today spends 307,000 minutes per deployment. I don't think 2 minutes of silence is too much to ask.
Yeah, and I don't think it is either. I didn't even think of it like that, dude. Like, yeah, when you put it into that kind of perspective of like, hey, can you just take 2 minutes to say thanks? Kind of bow your head, close your eyes. But we're so disconnected from it, right? Like, I think about the sacrifice you made in a time when there was no great conflict, right? Like, sure, you served in Afghanistan, and yes, that's great conflict. But like in a world war, and
there was 5 years long where you're
I know, but
a guy left his family for 5 years, not 6 months.
Right, and I'm reminded, like I was looking at this tweet from Amber Mack, who put this out today, and I thought it was brilliant. And I know everybody's been paying respects, but like, I want you to read this. My great-grandfather, Alfred Gabriel Gardner, was killed in action August 28, 1918 in Cherisy, France during World War I. He left behind his wife and 10 children.
Wow.
A wife and 10 children. Wow. Like, and you think about the victims that you walk around looking at all day, and it's the most popular thing to bring up, that go, I'm not wearing a mask, it's too much for me. And then I think about a guy that left his family for years, died, left 10 kids behind, or someone like you that has willingly put his body in harm's way, that has legitimately been in the line of fire. And I think, are we pussies? Like,
well, that guy's wife had 10 kids. She's a fucking trooper, man. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that incredible? But like, but think about that. Like, she just got on with it, right? And meanwhile,
absolutely,
someone like you that gets on with it, and you look around and you see people going, I'm not wearing that mask. I'm not getting that shot. I don't want to do that. I don't have to do anything I don't want to. Like, if there's a war, do you think we could even muster enough people to actually go and actually compete? Like, I don't think we could.
No, not without. That's why everything we do now is joint efforts with other countries, because we just don't have the resources or the willingness. You need to understand that the Canadian Armed Forces, at any given moment, like right now, has about 95 to 97,000 serving members, either regular force or reserve. The population of Canada is just under 3.8 million. So 0.25% of the population wears a uniform. 0.25. That's it. So, I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
If we had to go to war again, people are not used to war in this country because they've never seen it on their own soil. Like, when was the last time there was any significant conflict on Canadian soil? Well, long before we were born. So what happens is we have a military that goes over there and keeps the fight over there, so it doesn't have to happen here. The problem that brings, the flip side is ignorance. Your average Canadian, and I'm not, no disrespect to anybody, is they live blissfully ignorant of what happens out there in the rest of the world and the shit, that needs to be done. I can't remember who he was, but all that it takes for evil to succeed is that good men do nothing.
Churchill, wasn't it?
No,
No.
I have to get on my Google machine.
Yeah. But and that's the thing, right? Like, I think about the difference between cowardice and courage, and the difference is love. It is. The opposite to fear is love, and we're so afraid of getting injured. We're so afraid of everything that we can't muster enough love. And I think I look at you and I look at those patches on your chest. The reason why you were courageous enough to serve this country is because you love the people in it, or you love your family, or that love conquered that fear. Like, to stand in the line of fire and to go to a different country and say, "Hey, fuck, you might not come back from this mission today." I don't understand that.
It's not fun.
Well, no, but as like a human being who is all about self-preservation, it's not even in my realm of understanding. Like, I don't get it.
Well, actually, Dean, you nailed it. Self-preservation is an instinct that most human beings, except dumb ones, possess. When you are in a conflict like that, and you grew up with these guys and trained with these guys, all we care about, like when I was over there, is my team. I don't care about me. I care about the guy to the right, and another guy to the right is going to take care of me. And that's the attitude. It's all I ever worried about is getting all my guys home safe. Oh, we've got Doug here, the president.
And that's always the thing that shines through. Like, when I watch, it's the camaraderie that service people have for each other. I don't know if I've ever experienced anything quite like that, except with real family and friends. Sports teams is a very, very watered down version of what that must be like, because as you said, you don't know if you're coming home. So that has to be filled with adrenaline and emotion and everything else, and then you got to keep yourself in check to actually get your job done, and you have all these responsibilities. So anyways, I take my hat off to you, especially before I go into the Legion.
Yeah,
Thank you, gents. I got to jump off. Locke's going to jump on for a second, and we've got the next guest.
The next
Have
guest
a good
is
one.
the.
Have a beer.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Kris.
and thank you for your service, Kris. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I truly mean that. I want to find out about that hardware on his chest too. I want to find out which one of those are. But you know what happens is when you talk to an Army guy and you're like, "Tell me about being in the Army," you're like, "I don't want to hear the stories you don't want to tell." And I know he's got a lot of stories. But thankful for his service, thankful for everybody's service. Okay, Lochlin Cross is here. We're going to turn it over to you, Lock. You're with a very special man, as I understand it.
Yes. This is the president of the St. Albert Legion 271, Doug Delorme, and he has been gracious enough to host us. Obviously, today goes without saying, Doug, that this is a very special day, and obviously probably your busiest day of the year here at the St. Albert Legion.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, this is a very special day. This is where all our veterans come in and just remember their fallen comrades.
Now, the Legion over the years has obviously had to grow and take on different members. Is the thought process behind your participants changed over the years? Like, I mean, obviously it was dedicated to veterans from World War II at first, but there's been a number of wars that we've, obviously dealt with over the years.
Yeah, we're kind of fortunate here. We have about 750 members, and I'd say probably 50% are still veterans. A lot of veterans from CFB Edmonton retire in the area and stay here, and they've joined the club. So our demographics is, of course, changing. We've lost most of our World War I or II veterans, but we have a new bunch of younger veterans that are joining us, those with experience in Afghanistan.
Obviously, and so how does somebody sign up to become a member of the Legion, Doug?
Yeah, myself, I'm the president here. I'm an associate member, which means I joined because my father was a veteran from World War II. So I joined up as an associate member. So basically, if you're interested in joining the Legion, if you believe in our mandate, which is to help veterans and promote remembrance, you're welcome to join us. If you have a family relationship to the military, a father, grandfather that served, you could come in as an associate member. If you don't, you could come in as an affiliate member, just basically somebody that wants to support the Legion, believes in the Remembrance, and helping veterans.
Do you still do the meat draws, Doug?
We still do meat draws Fridays and Saturdays. Friday at 6 o'clock, Saturday at 4.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I really want to thank you for hosting us today. This is just great. We come down every year, and you guys do a great job down here. So thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm glad that you guys dropped in, and you're welcome anytime.
Right.
Come to the meat draw.
All right. Thanks a lot, Doug. There we go.
Yeah, you're talking about. I love that guy. You talk about. You talk about meat draws. I'll never forget the greatest event I've ever been to. The drunkest I've ever been and the drunkest people I've ever seen in my life was at a Legion turkey bowl / meat draw. And you go into the Legion and the beers are cheap and everybody's having fun. And before you know it, you're like 12 deep and guys are passed out in the corner high-fiving each other or painting dicks on each other's foreheads. At least that was it at the Legion that I was at. And it was, but it was like familial, right? Like you go to one of those things. There's one just down the street from me that is poorly attended, and I'm gonna watching this and watching you makes me want to go get involved because one of the things you said, which was incredible, is we're here to support our veterans, right? Like it's not we're here to serve veterans cheap beer or tell war stories. Of course, that's one of the things that happens there. But I gotta wonder too, Locke, like how many of those veterans actually feel supported by the government?
Well, I mean, that's actually a big part of the conversation I've been having lately with veterans and the Veterans Association Food Bank. The Veterans Association Food Bank, we've done quite a few charity things for over the last couple of years on 95.7 Cruise FM, including recently where we spent an entire year once a month going to Army Kris's place, collecting his empties and taking them in, taking the cash, collecting it all, then taking half of it, and we gave away half to a listener, the guest the closest, and then we gave half to the Veterans Association Food Bank. And part of their mandate is actually to help out veterans navigate the rather complicated world of veterans affairs. But if you talk to anybody in the military, and I have quite a few friends that have served, they will tell you that it's a hornet's nest. And just even this morning with Mike and that ceremony that we talked about earlier that was put on by his daughters in front of his house because he's too sick to attend the actual ceremony. We had quite a couple hundred people show up outside of his place today. Mm-hmm. We promoted that on the show. He's obviously quite sick and needs a renovation on the bathroom. Well, Veteran Affairs, without getting into any details, has been of no help at all. So there was a call this morning after the ceremony to help out with some cash. And I guess the Veterans Association Food Bank in town, which does a lot of work, not just to help, struggling vets with grocery bills, but also helps them with, getting them medical attention that they need and things to that, and helping them navigate the world of the Veteran Affairs, like the paperwork and the red tape. I guess they're going to do what they can to try to help him out to redo his bathroom so that things are a little bit easier here for him.
Yeah,
it's
find it amazing that
a nightmare.
Well, I find it amazing that regular people have to do what the government should be doing. There's no way that guy should have to pay for a fucking bathroom renovation after putting himself in harm's way for 40 fucking years.
35 years, right? You'd think that they'd be here tomorrow to redo his bathroom, right?
Yeah, but I was reading this morning another story about this guy named Spencer who came back from the war in 1919 and literally came back and the government said, here's $64 in a suit. Good luck. Like it's been going on for 100 fucking years, which is incredible to me, right? And so the support for like a Legion like that in your hometown, it's got to mean the world to some of the veterans that are in that area. And like you said, like it's the Legion. We used to think it was just like old dudes with mustaches that like to go and have a couple butts and stuff. There's like 20-year-old veterans, 30-year-old veterans, and the majority of them, even though the Legion is subsidized by the government, the majority of them are just like, you know what, you stay there, we'll keep feeding you booze until you're dead. Like that's legitimately how a lot of those guys feel. I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday about the show, and he's like, I invited him on. He goes, I can't come on. He's an Afghanistan veteran as well. And he's like, dude, I can't even talk about the government because it's the second all of us got back, they just cut bait, right? Like, he goes to the Legion. He's reminded of his years of service, and he's like, I can't do it. And all of that has been since he's come back because he's had no support, like no support from the government.
Well, the interesting thing about where we're at too, as a country is these guys. I mean, war is, at any point in time, I don't think war was good, right? I mean, you played that 1 minute piece after everything went quiet back in World War I, right? And World War II, that was another level. The Korean War, Vietnam, every time we go to battle, it's different, right? And it's a different experience. But the one common denominator is that these guys don't come back the same when the same
as
person.
they left. Yeah,
they just don't, and they kind of need our support. They made the ultimate sacrifice, and I'm not sure our public officials have an appreciation for what they did. They did for us, right?
I don't think they
even
do.
From a peacekeeping perspective, which is largely what Canada is about. The Afghanistan thing, it's going to take us a while to completely understand what these guys went through. But just talking to numerous people that I know that were over there for more than a couple of terms, tours of duty, it changes people, man.
It does, and it's like you talked about. Just something really simple, like you said, there's a Veterans Affairs food bank or a Veterans Food Bank that helps veterans, like, get food.
Run by veterans, dude.
Run by veterans because the government isn't doing their fucking job, right?
Well, and these guys, some of them don't have the capacity to work because of what they've gone through. And imagine them having to negotiate the paperwork and the red tape of just trying to get some help. Which is what our government officials do. Quite often, they'll make it almost impossible to navigate those waters so that they don't have to pay out, right? And they always say the right thing. Our prime minister is a prime example. They'll step up to a podium and it sounds like we're doing the right thing. It sounds like we're doing the right thing for the Indigenous community. But the exact same time, he's standing there telling everybody how sorry we are and all the changes we need to make. He's got lawyers, like a gymnasium full of lawyers fighting all of these cases across the country to stop payouts. And it's similar in the world of veteran affairs, right? It's bullshit. And I'm not surprised that your veteran friend who served in Afghanistan doesn't want to come on a live podcast and talk about it because he's probably uncomfortable about what he wants to say.
Yeah. Well, he's afraid. Right? Like, he's afraid of saying the wrong thing. He's afraid of having the little support he does get being taken away. Yeah. He's afraid of upsetting his friends that came back without any psychopathy. He's afraid of... Dude, the dude is so scared. A couple weeks ago, I took him to a couple doctor's appointments. Dude is so scared he can't even get in the car.
Yeah.
And this is a dude that's like 6'5", 240, was anyways, about 180, 190 now. Serious PTSD. He can't work because of it and can't collect EI. Government affairs won't help him. And he's in this space now where he's like so fucking mad. He can't even take part in Remembrance Day festivities because he gets sweaty hands, stressed out, angry. Yeah. He gets into this space where he's like fight or flight, and it takes him back to being in Afghanistan. And he's like, Dino, I just can't do it. Like, I just cannot do it. And he's like 38 years old. He's got a wife and a couple of kids. His wife's got to work 2 jobs. His kids are suffering.
He's just got to cope, man. He's just got to get through, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he can't. That's the thing, is he can't. And the help and the service the government is supposed to be to these people that went over there and did this fugazi job on behalf of whatever the government's interests were, they pretend that it doesn't exist. And then, to your point, they take him to court and fight it.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight you all the way.
Or
look for reasons
or they
that we
make
don't have
it
to
so
pay you.
difficult for them just to get the basic, support for medical. Right?
Don't you,
know what
don't you
I
have
mean?
to keep on proving over and over again that you're like a war amp? Don't they have a bureaucracy that makes it that kind of like they put a big blanket over benefit and they say, okay, well,
We
then
have
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a famous story in town. Speaking of the war app, we those famous Justin Trudeau town halls where he drives across the country, and so he did one in Edmonton, and he only did one. and a friend of mine who has lost his leg in Afghanistan stood up to ask a question about the government's interference with trying to get money to people in the military. What's the guy that lost his leg that was at the Justin Trudeau?
Brock Glasschuck.
Brock. Everybody on Brock.
Brock
Anyway, I've met
Rothschild?
Brock. Yes, Brock is a hero in the Canadian Armed Forces. So Brock gets up and asks a question about the government giving back to veterans. And Justin Trudeau has the balls to tell a guy that's missing a leg because of his service to Canada that the veterans are asking for too much. You're asking for more than we can give.
And think about who's
they don't have a
delivering
leg they
that-
can give
think
them?
about who's delivering that statement. Like
Exactly.
silver spoon rich kid that's never done anything even close.
Nothing.
Closest he came was
Here's a
boxing
guy-
that conservative.
Here's a
senator.
guy. Yeah,
That's
here's a
closest
guy gave his leg for Canada that can't get help, like can't get medical, like can't get his medical bills paid. Has to fight, scratch, like claw to get every penny back just to get some help, right? And I mean, you know what? It's not surprising to me that Justin Trudeau hasn't done another town hall in Edmonton.
Yeah.
We chew him alive here.
Well, but you know what? And even in that statement, James brings up a good point. You know, you have to be someone of entitlement to say, you know, it's more than we're willing to give to a guy who's given his fucking leg for some dumb bullshit that you seem to think is important to your interests, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not that. It's like how many people have been killed in the last like 25 years and shit in the Middle East? Like, I think we're up to 112, 113 or something like that. Needlessly, we pull out. I don't even want to.
I don't know why 132 is the
That might
number
be-
that.
Yeah, it might be
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I'm sorry
Yeah.
if I mess that up. It probably is.
No,
But,
I might be wrong too.
And it's not like I'm a softie. Like, we were sitting around talking about, you know, our family members, Locke's grandfather, Gordy Hislop, James's grandfather, who was fought for the Dutch against the Germans and immigrated to Canada. And I was looking around because I put out this thing this morning, and I'm like, I should put something up about my grandfather. And so I did, because my grandfather actually, and that's him on the very far right with a picture of the two cats. His name was William Mallandine. That's him just walking into Normandy after they stormed the beaches. That's his brother. His name is Edward Mallandine. So that's my great uncle. That's my grandfather, my mom's dad. And that's my mom's dad here in the glasses, looking so fine because he was a photographer for the Daily Mail. Now, the fascinating part about these guys is they were with the 1st Battalion that went everywhere. Like, if they were going into Berlin first, my grandfather and his brother were in Berlin to the point where they actually were the guys that were responsible for taking this picture of Churchill, Roosevelt.
Holy
Stalin.
shit!
Yeah. So
That's
like,
insane connection.
Isn't that unbelievable? Yeah. So
That's
like
unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I love it. And I remember talking to my grandfather about it when I was really small, and I was talking to my mom about it, and you know, we kind of kibitzed about it a couple of days ago on the phone, and I said, and I've in my 48 years, my mother's 70, I never thought to ask her anything. I never thought to go, tell me about like the stories he would tell you. So finally I did. I'm like, hey, why don't you tell me about what Granddad, you know, didn't tell you about the war? And she goes, you never said a word. Not a word. Nothing. He didn't say, lock your mics off. He didn't say anything. You know what he said? He said it was a terrible time. Let's talk about something else. And because his job was, when he wasn't fighting, to photograph the worst of the worst. And he came back and just kept taking pictures of landscapes because he couldn't get away from it in his own mind, right? And same thing. they had to fight after that. My mom was really broke. The government didn't do anything for them. So it's not just in Canada. It's everywhere. To
No.
the point where like my grandfather would go down to the River Thames and he would fish for their dinner with his father and would bring back fish. This is like 5-10 years after the war was over. Like, we don't understand that kind of stuff. We've lived in this like cocoon of happiness and no conflict. And we were just talking to Kris about it, that like I doesn't even register. Like, what if your wife said to you, Locke, today, or James, your wife said to you, we don't have any dinner, and you said no problem, and you had to go out and get it. You had to go kill it. Like, I know, Locke, you've lived like that because of the way that your family was when you were younger, but like every day, forever. Like, that's the kind of life that these guys lead.
As soon as my wife starts saying I don't have any dinner, I would just, even with a fridge full of food, I would go out and kill something just to get out of the house. You know.
Well, hold on. Don't you guys have skipped the dishes?
The nearest restaurant is like 2 counties over. Like, what am I supposed to do?
You guys want to get Jimmy to read the poem, his Valentine's?
Is he wasted yet?
Try to get him to time it to when the bagpipes start playing again.
Yeah,
So I don't know if we're gonna have bagpipes again, but we may. I'm gonna get Jimmy over here. He's gonna read it. He's actually sufficiently greased. And like I said, he's still drunk from yesterday too, I think.
Oh, that's great.
He got on his pony yesterday. Jimmy, get over here, buddy.
On his
Let's
pony?
get him some poem reading music. Is this a Remembrance Day poem?
It's his Remembrance Day poem. He posted it on his Facebook if you're following him.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hi, James. Hey, Jimmy. Oh, he's having a hard time with the.
I don't know if you should play the poem reading
Lindley's
music.
I'm not missing
Well, that's
this.
the Lindley intro music. Well done.
Lindley's here. Hey, Lindley. How you doing, buddy?
Hey,
Good to see you. Jimmy,
Hey,
how you doing?
man, Locke has a small head.
Yeah, you got a big head.
Well,
How are you?
doing good.
Yeah. Have you had a couple cocktails?
1 or 6.
Okay. Where are you on the lubed scale? Out of 10.
Oh,
out
I'm
of 10?
still good. I'd say I'm about a 2.
Oh, okay. Right. You just slurred your way through that.
Yeah.
So
Hey, that's what I do. That's my usual speak.
your usual speak. Well, listen, thanks for telling me to fuck off the other day on that little video that Kris
Hey,
sent.
no problem. That's what I
Appreciate
do.
it. Yeah. You wrote a poem.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And the poem is about Remembrance Day, Jimmy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm horrible at reading. I'm better at writing, but
Okay.
I will give it a whirl.
You know what?
I got a sneak peek. I got
I
a sneak
need you-
peek of this today,
Yeah,
and it's actually great. It's really good, Jimmy.
Well, let's not blow it up just in case it's shit and you just thought it was great, right? Like, because it's like when someone says
To
the
be
best
fair.
movie I've ever seen, and you
To
go
be
to it and
fair.
you're like, that movie sucked. Like, there's a decent chance that one of us might not like what Jimmy has to say, but I'm really excited because Jimmy put work into it.
I'm really excited to find out if any of you think this is bad, and if you do,
Okay.
we're gonna have a talk.
I'll
after
be
the
honest.
show.
I don't know about Dean, but I'll be honest.
I'll be honest.
Okay.
James, is this your first poem, or are you a bit of a poet?
I've written several. Like,
Okay.
This is the first Remembrance Day one I've ever done, but
Oh, so you enjoy doing a little light poetry on the side, and this is your
yeah,
first foray into.
I do a little bit of.
You're
yeah.
a Renaissance man, male
When it
stripper.
moves me, I write it.
Attaboy. Okay, so why don't we get to this? Go ahead. This is James P. White with his Remembrance Day poem. What's it called?
It's called A Day to Remember.
Oh, very well put. James P. White with A Day to Remember, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, James.
Greater love has no one than to lay down their life for a friend. This is an important day to remember. Remember those who pain seldom mend. We pause and think on the 11th hour of the 11th day of November. We have lost so many people in many wars, a date we can never repay. Poppies can be found in many stores. We all honor the fallen in our own way. So many people are broken. Too many fathers and mothers lost. Brothers and sisters in pain is unspoken. They paid the ultimate cost. Take time to show them you care. Show these men and women your respect. Today is a good day to say a prayer for those who live to protect. That's it.
Well done.
That was really good, Jimmy.
Fantastic.
That was a really good one. I really liked it. Did that take you a long time to write, or was it like just come to you like that?
I got halfway through and then I hit a bit of a block, and then
You know what's funny about that is that the second half was clearly better than the first half. So whatever block that was.
Once it cleared.
Yeah.
I think it's lovely that you took time out of your life to pen some thoughts in a little bit of a poem to the people that have served this country, Jimmy. I really do.
Agreed.
Well done, sir.
Just something small.
Well, it's what you could give, and I love it. Are you on your way to getting drunk now with all your friends, or are you going to kind of take it easy today? Because you were wasted yesterday.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm on my pony.
Okay, so you're there. You're happening. So you lied to us to start the whole interview when I said how drunk are you? You said 2
James.
out of 10. You're
No,
like
but
an
it's just
8.
but I'm on it. Like I've got a long way to go. I've still got at least 10 hours.
I don't
of
know
drinking.
what it means as far as how drunk you are, but I didn't know that poem rhymed until like the fourth last line or so.
Because I had it as an AB.
No, I got that. And finally, at the end, I was like, but yeah, I just couldn't tell before that. I don't know. Because you gotta.
James, could you rap that? Do you think you could rap that out?
AB.
Oh no!
It rhymes.
Oh hell no!
Do you want to try the rhyming version? Like,
No,
'cause
I could not
I got agree. I got to agree with James. Like, I didn't. No offense, I love you, but I didn't know that was a poem that rhymed either until the
And I
end.
thought that there was some like really, and then it became endearing almost. There were lines that were like you didn't have to think about it too much. It was like poppies are sold at stores. It was like, yes, they are.
It's not supposed to be work.
I didn't say that. I'm just telling you what I thought, and I
Yeah.
thought it was like everyone could understand it.
Do you want to give it a go again?
No, I can't read it again. I even screwed up a couple of lines. I added words.
I noticed.
Yeah, you did.
Ryan, send it to me. Yeah,
All right,
it's
I
not
will.
I think it's a debt, not a date. I think that was one of them.
I'm pretty sure I said that.
I'm pretty sure you said date.
No, you said date.
Okay, maybe I am a little drunk.
Yeah, maybe. Show me the real version.
On the way.
You gotta be kidding. I love you, Jimmy. Well done. Great poem.
was great,
Appreciate
Jimmy.
you, brother.
It's the thought
All right,
that
man.
counts.
You want
I'm
to
gonna
give
give
those?
it back to Lochlin.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, you fucking
I didn't have the heart. I didn't have
Can
the
we-
heart to tell him.
I did.
Good. Wow.
Tell him
Dude,
what? It was beautiful.
It was. It was from the heart. It was beautiful. But tell
That's
him
what
to
I'm
stop.
saying.
Never write poetry again.
You know what? His poetry.
It had a hallmark ending. That's what was good about it.
Yeah.
It had a hallmark ending.
When he does poetry for stuff that you don't have to worry about, like, it's hard to criticize somebody who writes a Remembrance Day poem,
That's
right?
it.
right? It's hard to criticize somebody who wants to write a poem for Martin Luther King Day.
That is very easy to criticize.
I shared it on my Facebook because I thought
Did
it was
you,
beautiful.
Ryan?
I thought it was beautiful.
Well, listen, there's a difference. It's like, can we talk about beautiful and what isn't beautiful? Because like I sat and listened to Jimmy do his poem and Locke. I don't know if you know this. James and I were both on the same page. We didn't even know it was supposed to rhyme until the end. That's how poorly he delivered it. So he fucking knocked it out of the park. And on top of it, it was
That's the Jimmy. That's the secret sauce.
You want
When you're feeling
you wanted
the
cilantro and you got cilantro.
alcoholic
You know?
midget reading a Remembrance Day poem, at the end of it, you go, "Oh, okay, there
rhymes.
were a couple of rhymes in there."
Yeah. You wanted cilantro and you got the spice. You called for it.
We wanted
We,
Herb de Provence and we got MSG.
We read it to Grant and I on Tuesday with the possibility that we were going to read it on the air on Wednesday. And after we read it on Tuesday, I said, "We're not doing that."
Big kibosh.
I'd like to see it because the thing about
I'll
that
let you
poem
read it
is-
on the podcast.
Yeah, I will, because the thing about that poem is you can tell as a writer that he probably didn't edit it. You know, like he went with, that's a good line, and then that's there forever. And the next one, that's a good line, that's there forever. And then by the end, it was like he cared about the poem more, and that's why those lines were clearly superior to anything he wrote before that. Right?
Here's
Like
the thing about Jimmy. Jimmy has a ton of fucking heart.
Yeah.
Ton of heart. You're never gonna get somebody with more heart and more compassion than my little buddy James P. White. Somehow he skipped the talent line, though. Right? Like,
can he juggle at least?
I fucking love the guy, but it's like me. Like, I can play any sport. I just look like I shouldn't be playing it.
Yeah.
Like, I look like I have a head injury.
Is it?
You should be wearing a helmet for every sport you play.
Every sport, golf.
I liken to what I just heard Jimmy try to do to, like, when your kid comes up to you with this clay mold they made in the first grade, and you're like, and they're like, look, Dad, I made it for you, and you're like, great, looks like a caramelized abortion. What do you want me to do with this? And he's like, oh, it's a paperweight, and you're like, this is awesome. This is the best paperweight I have. And you're like, where the fuck do I put this? Because it legitimately looks like Afterbirth. But you're like, I love it, son. I love it. And so with a guy like Jimmy, like, to be like, that's vulnerable. Like, for a little guy like that to go, I'm gonna write a poem on Remembrance Day and I'm gonna read it on the radio for people. You know what that says to me? Jimmy and Locke hit the nail on the head. That you need to support a guy like that, but you don't want to take the sport too far, because it's like those Canadian or American Idol contestants that show up and they take part in, like, the tryout, and they're fucking terrible because their parents are like, "You're a great singer." You know what I mean?
Why
like,
did William Hung end up at American Idol, the auditions?
Because they shamed him because he was terrible. Yeah, because his folks lied to him, right? And friends.
And he ended up there because of that.
The first round of Idol is more entertaining than the finale of Idol.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know?
Before he ended up at American Idol, that fucking idiot thought he was actually talented.
Yeah.
It took American Idol.
I believe Howard Stern had something to do with that too, though.
Like, if you're
he was
tone deaf,
encouraging people to vote for him because he was so fucking horrible.
Hold on. If you're tone deaf, how can you tell if a song is good?
You know.
Well, and that's the thing. That's why you have to have people around you. Like in the case of Jimmy, like if Jimmy just decided today he's going to be the next Robert Burns, a guy like Lochlin would step in and go, "Listen, I want you to listen to me carefully. You're not Robert Burns." Whereas a guy like William Hung was like, I'm one of the Backstreet Boys. And his parents are like, "You sure are." And he's like, "I'm going for it." And then all of a sudden, we're all laughing because the guy's got terrible teeth, can't sing, and he's got the rhythm of like a fucking hockey stick. And
part of the proof that he's not a famous poet is that he probably mulled it over for a long time. He's like, what rhymes with "we have lost so many people in many wars"? Oh, fuck, I got it. Poppies can be found in many stores.
That was a brilliant line. It was great.
I don't know if it was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Like, no,
like,
it wasn't.
Is that the British
Here's the other thing. We call them the positive reinforcement gang.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jimmy has an army of people behind him that are like pumping his fucking tires.
I can't lie about writing.
We call them the James P. White positive reinforcement gang. And when he fucking puts a poem up like that up on his Facebook page, man, they're there to tell him how great he is. And that's awesome. I don't want those people to go away because I can't do it. Because when I hear that poem, I go, that's fucking awful. Let's read it and make fun of it.
Okay, that's good for Jimmy. Okay, when people praise him, but it's not good for writing.
We don't give a fuck about writing. You look at Lochlin. You think he gives a shit about writing? Do you think he gives a crap about iambic pentameters?
I like it. I hate it when people. I'm like, hey, can you read that? And they're like, yeah, it's great. Like, I've sent people things that I knew was shit. I was just, I'm gonna see what they fucking say. It's gonna be, this is shit. I'm gonna see what they have to say, and they'll be like, yeah, I really like the way that you totally didn't, submit to like traditional, techniques in writing. Like, they just find a way to try to praise something that's garbage, and nothing is more damaging for everybody involved in that.
Dude, it's the special conversation. Like, I remember talking to my dad because, like, up until I was like 40, I thought I was like anointed. I was like special. I'm a special guy. I can do no wrong. I'm anointed. Like, look at me.
Did you chew gum a lot?
I've arrived, and it was because all the time my dad was like, my mom and dad were always telling me when I was a kid, "You're special. You're more special than the other kids." And I'm like, oh, I guess I am. And then, Yeah, massive mistake. And I remember talking to my dad not more than like 3 weeks ago, and he's like, "What, when you were growing up, what things did I do wrong?" And I'm like, "You kept telling me I was fucking special. I was just like every other kid on the planet."
You were
and so
every
what I
other
did was,
loser.
So then I would walk into a situation and go, "I'm special. I can just do this." Like Jimmy. Like it's the same thing. If I said to you guys, "I'm a poet," and I just went out and did it, and I thought I was a poet because my parents told me I was special, you'd go, "Oh yeah, you're real special, all right, you dumb fuck." Like
but who's prepping food buckets for the end times right now? Who's doing that?
Okay,
not
tell
you. So you're special, Dean.
Did they ever hand you a helmet when they called you special? Or
no,
did they,
strangely enough, no, they never
helmet?
did. But I've been telling my kids they're not special since the day they were born, and it is magic how that's worked out.
Dean
like,
used
"You're
to
not
sign
special, you just
autographs
gotta
with
do
a
the work."
primary pencil.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did.
Here's the
What are you
other
gonna
thing we do with Jimmy, right? Because Jimmy, like, I'm a unique entity in Jimmy's life, right? Like, Jimmy met me, and then it was a bit of an eye opener, right? He hasn't had anybody else in his life that's been this honest with him.
Like full size person or just another like a general?
Any person
Okay.
on the fucking planet. Like, I tell it like it is, and I always have with everybody in my life. I'm honest with myself. I'm honest with my family. I'm honest with my friends. And Jimmy needed to meet me. But Jimmy still has this over-the-top confidence, which I fucking love because it creates such amazing content. Like, I will tell him, you know what, listen, you're not great at this, but I want you to do it because you're going to suck at it. And it'll be fucking entertaining. And he'll go, fuck you. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be awesome at it.
You probably
Prime
won't.
example, the Rick Nielsen Cheap Trick interview, which, by the way, if you search on YouTube, it's one of the worst interviews I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my God,
Jimmy
it's so bad.
Jimmy went into that thinking he was going to prove me and everybody else wrong about his ability to interview a rock star.
He has no ability.
It was like Chris Farley. It was like a miniature Chris Farley.
I had
That was
interviews
awesome,
up
that album.
on our YouTube page with huge stars that have 0 listens. We got thousands of people have listened to the Rick Nielsen, James P. White Cheap Trick
300 of those are
because
mine.
of how fucking horrible it is. And if you want a slowed down version of it, because what I've done in the past is we slow Jimmy down to make him sound even more
Wasted.
Your album's awesome.
If you want a slow down version of Jimmy interviewing Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick,
That's not the album
just
title,
send
Jimmy.
me a note. I will email it to you.
Oh, dude, I want it so bad.
Oh,
I
that's
want to hear
the
it so
thing.
bad.
It's great.
That kind of content is gold.
You can't find it. If you can have someone on your radio program or on your show that thinks that they're doing great content and it's truly fucking terrible, it's more entertaining than if they nailed it. Like 5 to 10 times more entertaining.
And you can't
right?
fake the failure. It's not the same.
No,
you know
no.
what I mean?
No.
Like,
The failure's
So-
got to be organic.
Yeah, it's the organic
You
failings.
have to go in thinking
Off.
I'm gonna
Just name it
fucking
off.
nail
The
this
organic
interview.
failings of friends.
Oh, totally block. Every time I remember thinking to myself, we'd have some kind of poor fuck that was coming on who was just an idiot, right? And you're like, I can't wait to have this idiot on because there's nothing better. You want ratings gold? Idiots.
And now I'm a co-host. Woo!
Is Jimmy around there right now?
Yeah, he's right here.
He doesn't have to. I just want, because I found a calendar and I thought of him after I found this calendar. It's called the Sexy Jesus Calendar, and I know how much he loves the Lord. Oh yeah.
What?
No, Locke. You can stay there. So Jimmy, I found this calendar. It's called the Sexy Jesus Calendar, and as someone who loves Jesus, I thought maybe you would be interested in this, and maybe a fundraiser for you guys at 95.7 Cruise FM. You can go around and sell these, make millions. Each month, there's a different version of the Sexy Jesus. This is the Burning Bush Sexy Jesus. I think that's October.
Wow.
I don't even know what to fucking say about
This
this.
is I think this is November. This is Turn the Other Cheek Jesus. Jimmy. This is Carpenter Jesus making his own. You know what?
Look
You know
at
what
it.
that
Look
is.
at that. Wow.
You know what? He looks great. And this is Fish and Wine Jesus. Looks hot. Never looked better. if
Where's
you ask
foot
me.
fetish Jesus? Is there a foot fetish Jesus?
Right there. There's foot fetish Jesus.
Wow.
He washed all those guys' feet. He must have some sort of fetish.
There's sexy wine Jesus, and last but not least is just sexy Jesus. I think
Tire
that's
Jesus.
December. Yeah, he's
tire.
got a tire in his hand.
I didn't know he was gay until now, but that makes a lot
I don't
of
know
sense.
if he is. I just think he's sexy. Does any of that bother you at all?
It's funny.
Would you
Doesn't
hang it?
bother me.
Okay, I'm
No.
just saying as a Christian, I was like, I wondered if we could get away with selling these calendars, and I think it's not a bad idea.
But doesn't it
It's
make you
pretty good.
upset, Jimmy, that Jesus was conceived through lack of consent? Doesn't that make you upset a little bit?
Anyway, just wanted to see what you thought there, James. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, I'm gonna go now.
Okay.
Baby Jesus,
Gonna go
finger
pray.
pains with Mother
He's going to pray for you
Mary's
now, Dean.
Hey, Locke. I just was
What's
trying
that?
to see if I was trying to see if he would mind selling these for us on the side. I got a line on these sexy Jesus calendars. Look at him. Turn the other cheek, Jesus.
That's Judas's view.
Oh,
My favorite is Carpenter Jesus. He's like, let me take a break and look smoldering here for a second while I build my death machine.
Nice wood, Jesus.
Great
Pretty
wood.
small.
Burning bush Jesus. Did you like?
Oh, now I get it.
that's funny.
I didn't hear the burning bush part.
That one's not bad too because he looks great. This might be my favorite though. I love that one.
It's like a shampoo commercial.
That's his
Turn the
blood.
other
That's his
cheek's
own
my
blood.
favorite.
Yeah,
He's bathing in
Are
his
we
own blood.
selling those? Are we
Yeah.
selling those on
I think so.
deanbloodell.com?
We are. Yeah, I've got a line. No word of a lie. So I got contacted by the guy that makes these. He's like, listen, we're looking to sell more of these Christmas, these sexy Jesus
It's a
calendars
great
for Christmas.
gift.
Isn't it for the religious person in your life?
Can we,
Yeah.
we get the
Where's
Podcast
Blowjob
Network
Jesus?
logo
Let's-
on it?
Let's take it to the next level
Yeah.
and do a whole X-rated Jesus thing.
Blowjob Jesus.
Yeah. He put the
Gonna go
man
for
in
it.
manger. Welcome, Jesus and Judas.
Holy shit.
Great.
Jesus is turning the other cheek, ladies and gentlemen. Shh, don't say anything. Anyway, I just thought I'd pop that in at the end of the podcast. There you go. I want to let
Nailing
you
me.
go and get drunk, Locke. I feel like we're taking up your time. It's been an
Yeah,
hour 18.
and plus we run the risk of more bagpipes.
Yeah. So
I don't
wanna
know if
thank
the
you.
bagpipes are going to keep going or not. It looks like it may have stopped. I was really hoping to interview the daughters of Mike, who we did the event for today. They are not here yet. They're still at home with their dad, which is completely understandable. It was a very emotional day for him. He did a little. He spoke after the whole ceremony, and he was quite emotional. It was.
Yeah, he had no idea, right? He had no
No.
idea this was
It
happening.
was like a flash job. Like, what do they call those? A flash mob?
Flash mob,
But
yeah.
it's a military, so it's a mash mob. What?
I sat here with two vets like Army Kris and his buddy Keith. What was his buddy's name? Cliff. And they've been in the military. Army Kris served 24 years. Cliff served over 30 years, and he was actually the last part of his career. He was actually in the U.S. military. And Cliff and Cliff and Kris said that was the most moving Remembrance Day ceremony they've ever been a part of.
I bet.
Yeah, and they've been
Good.
to like a ton of them.
Good. Well, it was moving for me. I mean, even just to see the video, Ryan sent it to me earlier today, and I watched it, and I was really excited to play it, and I was kind of moved by it, and and I think that in a time when we're all busy telling each other that we're all stupid and we're idiots and we're so divisive, I don't know the vaccine status of anybody in there. I don't even care.
Actually, they checked at the door.
Oh, did they?
Everybody had to show double vax, and you have if you're off your chair, you have to wear a mask. And everyone's following the rules.
I meant in terms of Mike's little ceremony.
Oh, okay.
like no one cared about anything other than giving that man a good day.
Yeah,
and
what it
that's
was
what
about.
I saw. I saw, it is like neighbors, friends, family, people of service, people in the community, people who've heard about it that wanted to go and give their time, which we never get back, to a man who spent 35 years protecting this country, right? And so thank you for bringing it to our attention. Thanks for allowing us to play the video. Thanks for doing that today, too.
Thanks for letting me do this. I mean, this is I don't need to tell you, and we don't need to have the conversation about podcast versus radio, but I was actually excited and kind of nervous about today, to be honest, because I wanted this to come off well, right?
I think it
I
did.
didn't want it.
I think it did too.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
I watched. I was a spectator for the first half of it, and it was great. Like it was like something that we had planned for weeks, and it came off really well.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for letting Jimmy read his poem. It means a lot to him.
Oh,
you're
man,
welcome.
happy to. Yeah,
Thank
it was
you
awesome.
for letting Jimmy read his poem.
Yeah.
The defender of
remiss to say,
content.
Bonzi's not here. This is Bonzi's grandpa on the right, who served in the Second World War as well. And,
The original cul-de-sac. Look at him.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know we don't have a picture of Lockstad, the original skullet. We don't have a picture of Lockstad, but every single one of us, it's James's grandfather. That, of course, my grandfather. All of us are tied to people today that have served this country. And so
I should get you guys a picture of Gordy.
Yeah, I want a picture of Gordy. We'll put it
I'll
up
send
in
you
the
a picture.
podcast.
Yeah, next podcast I'll send you. Actually, he gave me, when he passed away, he in his will he left me a gun, and it's hanging on the wall right behind me when I do the podcast. And it's actually, I've got a picture of him and me, and I've got one of his famous quotes: "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story."
Yeah.
And that's how Locke got into radio and what he lives by every day.
Yes, absolutely.
Just to circle,
Good to see you, Ryan. Good to see you,
just
man.
to circle back to the very
Thanks
beginning.
for what you did today.
Yeah.
Oh fuck no, it was easy. I wish we would have got Jessica on today to talk. Maybe we'll get her on again.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get her
pick
on
it up.
next week or something.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
James.
James.
I think the moment's gone, but I'll do it anyways because I don't mind if I embarrass myself. But just to circle back to the very beginning of the podcast, they were good. Little known fact: Saving Private Ryan's original
Does he
title,
do this on purpose?
"Allies and Assholes," right? That's called a vignette, motherfucker. Okay.
I was gonna say I feel a little left out just because I don't have a story like you guys do, and everybody's got pictures and stuff.
Do you have a poem?
My grandparents were the ones that your parents and grandparents were saving. So I have to thank everybody on this panel and their families for letting my parents or my grandparents and my aunt escape Nazi Germany and during the World War, and they made it to Caracas for 10 years. That's where my mom was born. And then they were given a choice. They said either you go to Chicago or you go to Hamilton. And the money was better in Hamilton and the opportunity was better in Canada. And they said there's no way they were going to live in the U.S. And that was in 1949. 59 is when they came here. Sorry. So yeah, it's it was a long road, but they were farmers. They had to escape, and if it wasn't for the Allies, they wouldn't have made it out. They lost.
Think about that.
I lost two uncles.
Mm-hmm.
They never made it. They were twins, and they were babies, and they were killed. But my aunt and my grandfather and grandmother made it out, and then which in turn meant my mom could be born, and here I am. So thank you.
Oh, dude, moving stuff. I mean,
it's hard to talk about. Even just saying it out loud gets me going. So yeah, it's tough.
Well, think about. I got goosies as well. I got the goosies. But if you think about the fact that all of us are from somebody that fought for the right side, and sitting in front of us is a very good friend of ours that we work with, who wouldn't be here if our parents, grandparents, and ancestors didn't decide to not be selfish, decided to act out of love, decided to go and put themselves in harm's way. That's why Ryan's here, right? And that's why we're here. That's powerful stuff.
I remember thinking about that in college, doing this thought experiment in class about who would exist and who wouldn't because of Hitler, and because the war moved all these pieces around the world, and then they met their spouses wherever the war was, and then those people have kids, and then we're like 3 generations later, and none of it would have had. Of course, you could say that about anything, but it's an interesting thing how transformative the World War II was on the entire planet, and how lineages changed and everything like that.
And I'll have you know that all of my family from that side that does live in the States are a bunch of racist Republican pieces of shit. So I'm glad we picked Canada.
It's a good thing.
We were talking about blocking
racist Republicans, and it would have been fine. But they're pieces of shit too.
Remember, we were talking about blocking and muting the other day, and you laughed when I said family. Those are the ones that I block and mute. So
makes sense.
Actually, I actually am thinking of unblocking everybody on all my social media platforms, just to
Nothing
see
will
what
probably
happens.
happen. Probably
Nothing happens because the people that you've blocked for like 6 years, they're like, they think they're still blocked, right? So one day they'll just wake up, they'll be able to see your stuff, and they'll probably be not as mad at you for what they were mad at you for 6 years ago. So nothing happens. I've done that before, and then I've gone on a blocking spree recently. Actually, I enjoyed it. Had a great time. Block, 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 block. Anyway, Lochlin Cross, Ryan Lindley, James DiFiore, happy, well, not happy, but thank you for doing this Remembrance Day thing.
Thank you,
Locke's
guys.
at the Legion. He's going to spend the rest of the day getting shit canned. James is probably
Still
going
helping his
to
friend.
hook into some Remembrance Day mushrooms. You can find his podcast, Blackballed, at anywhere you get your fine podcasts, including DeanBlundell.com, Spotify, iTunes. Same with Sheeple Shepherd Podcast. That is Ryan Lindley's podcast with his lovely wife, Ashley. Follow him at Ryan Lindley on Twitter, at James DiFiore on Twitter, at Lochlin Cross on Twitter. Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
Remembrance
Love you
Day,
guys.
Love
Enjoy
you too,
the
brother.
bagpipes.
Take care. Yeah, bagpipe it up. Thanks, Jimsy. Thanks,
See you, buddy.
Jimsy. I appreciate it. That'd be good. Everybody done. Hour 26. Lots of great stories from people coming in the comments section. Hard to believe. The stories that come out like years later that we can't even comprehend. Like Scott Reed, who is a very smart guy, poli-sci dude. This is the jail where his uncle Tink spent 23 months as a POW after his Halifax bomber shot up over Berlin, his 7th mission. 4 of them parachuted out, but not entirely to safety. Spent 3 days on the run before being captured by Nazis. It's his uncle, his dad's brother. Fucking wild. Amber Mack, we shared this earlier. I love Amber. She's awesome. This is her grandfather, great-grandfather. Left behind 10 kids. 10. Wife and 10 kids because he served this country. It's fucking awesome. Like, truly incredible that these people sacrificed what they sacrificed. James's grandfather, same thing. Bonzi's grandfather, same thing. Think about that. It's the opposite of fear. Too afraid to go into war. You know what the opposite of fear is? Love. It's got to be, right? The only reason those guys went is because they loved their families and knew what was at stake. Same reason why some of us won't put on masks, because you don't love other people. You won't make the sacrifice of putting a 2-inch piece of fabric in front of your face or get vaccinated because it's all about you. It's all about you. It's the opposite of love. That's fear. And you live in it. While these guys are out digging ditches and dodging bullets and saying no to family members and dying overseas. That's what this day is to me. Should be a good reminder to you too. And that reminder is really, really simple. Is that what are you doing for the greater good? What are you doing? Your chief job in this life is not to fuck other people's shit up. It's to help them. That's why this day is so cool. So if you're one of those selfish pricks, congratulations. It's a lonely life. Those are the people we celebrate today. Thanks for being part of the podcast, and thanks for joining us. Thanks to Lochlin. Thanks to Doug DeLorme at the St. Albert Legion. Thanks to the friends at the Royal Canadian Legion for allowing us to do that. That's usually a no-no, and they were really cool about it, so thank you. And support your local Legion. Support our war veterans. Support the people that are currently in uniform. It's kind of the most important thing on a day like today, but do it every day. Do it every day because it's the best thing to do, because you need to be and take that privilege that you've been given, that they gave you. You take that privilege that they fought for and died for, and you help them. That's what we're supposed to be here for. Works better that way, kids. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks to our sponsors, including Ed's Fine Imports, edsfineimports.com. He's got Gitch, and he'll send it to you. Yeah, really good underwear, too, like luxury branded underwear, boxer briefs, pouch in the front. They're indestructible. Doesn't even feel like you're wearing anything, too. Plus, soft. That's why it doesn't feel like you're wearing anything. I love soft things. I use a lot of lotion. I'm a real lotion guy. Nice Aveda product. Maybe just some baby lotion. I like the way it smells. Anyway, Ed's Fine Imports is available right now. You can order online. Order 3 pairs. They'll send you the 4th for free. Promo code GITCH3. That's your promo code, GITCH, and then the number 3, edsfineimports.com. Domination is AI software that you can use to produce all kinds of commercials, promos, etc., legacy content, different platforms. Takes you minutes instead of hours. It's artificial intelligence for people that do gaming, podcasting, streaming, and more. Super simple. Go to domination.com. Again, DMNTN.com. try them for free today. We use them all the time. We have to. We're too busy. That's why it's so awesome. Save yourself time. Excellent product. Get it out there. And our friends at easyautofinancial.ca, again, easyautofinancial.ca, it's where you go to get a car. It's where you go to get financing in a car, and they'll send you to the dealership that has your car as well with free financing. They don't charge you for anything. They're turnkey. They're incredible people. So if you're looking for a vehicle, don't be silly. No obligation. Go to easyautofinancial.ca. Check them out. Sign up today. Get the ball rolling if you're looking for a new car. That's it for us. Have a great day. Sign up for the newsletter at deanblundell.com if you like. If not, don't worry about it. Bye, everybody.